Hello, Contrarians watchers, Contrarians listeners, Contrarian subscribers. Here we are with the second installment of our summer event, our summer-long exploration of the filmographies of Peter Bogdanovich and PJ Hogan. This is our first PJ Hogan movie. It was his first PJ Hogan movie. It's Muriel's Wedding, starring Toni Collette, starting her career. This is also fresh, like the last movie we did, like the Bogdanovich movie that opened the Bogdanovich side of the summer. The PJ Hogan start is also fresh on the tomato meter. So that means that on our podcast episode on the main feed, you're going to hear us say very critical things about PJ Hogan's debut. And then, of course, we'll tell you how we really feel. But in this warm up, we're going to give you some extra Rotten Tomatoes quotes, some extra trivia, and of course, the Josh Gad Minute. Josh Gad traveling to Australia to join this production. Alex, are you ready for some more PJ Hogan wedding madness here?
Is it Muriel or Mariel's wedding? When she actually gets married, she's still Mariel, right? Mariel?
Mariel gets married. Muriel gets the wedding annulled, I think. That's how it works.
Okay.
All right, so let's start with some fresh quotes. I'm going to start with James Crute from stuff.co.nz. He says, Hogan's smart and sassy 1994 rom-com. 1994, Alex, the year of Pulp Fiction, Forrest Gump, Shawshank Redemption, Quiz Show. Missing one Best Picture nominee.
Is it 4 Weddings and a Funeral?
Maybe? It's not Muriel's Wedding, that's for sure. But still.
Certainly not.
Yeah. This is a big deal, Alex. Would you say this
4 Weddings and a Funeral? Yep.
Look at you. All right, so Smart and Sassy. Is this a Smart and Sassy movie, Alex?
If you're Australian.
We have a history with Australian cinema, a rocky history with Australian cinema on the Contrarians podcast. So if you've been around for a while, you've seen the ups and downs of our relationship with filmmakers from down under. I think the last stop on that journey was Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, which means that we left on a high note. And now we're...
Wake and Fright has been since then.
Was Wake and Fright after Priscilla? Well, Either way, they're both fresh. They're both well liked. The only difference is one of them featured
either way,
numbers.
Yeah, and neither of them featured a full soundtrack's worth of ABBA. So
yes,
we're on a roll here.
I would love to see the doc just crooning some ABBA, some Dancing Queen, a cappella. No, no track behind him. All right. I mean, I guess it is really. It's not so much about whether it's smart and sassy. It's more about whether it's a rom-com. Would you say this is more of a dramedy instead of a rom-com?
Yeah, it takes a while. It starts off with the tropes of like your typical 90s rom-com, but there's some very serious moments to this movie that you can't just kind of laugh away or, have a character slip and fall in the next scene and do away with. So I think a dramedy would be the right label for this, even though it does kind of have a happy ending. It's kind of a gumbo of all that. It's got the coming of age aspect. And but yeah, I definitely wouldn't be comfortable just flat out calling this a rom-com to someone who wasn't sure what they were getting into.
I like gumbo, Australian gumbo, if there's such a thing. I don't think it's exclusive to the United States. Next, Chase Burns from The Stranger, Seattle, Washington, says, it's one of my favorite movies. It's fundamental. And I think its movie poster, which shows Collette wearing a wedding dress, grinning while confetti rains down on her, inspired a few look-alike movie posters. I think you mentioned the poster in the episode, Alex, but I looked it up again. I mean, that is an accurate description. She's smiling, she's looking up, there's confetti falling on her. I can't say that I look at it and go, oh yeah, it's this type of poster. Like, I don't know what he's talking about with the lookalikes. Can you think of a movie that is aping the Muriel's Wedding poster?
I don't know about that, but it's it definitely has that 90s. It's porcelain, ivory white with the wedding dress and like the big kind of like not blocky. What's the word I'm looking for here? The colorful letters that like pop. Some of them are capitalized and some of them are lowercase, and it's something. If I saw that, if like I wanted to show an alien what a movie poster from the '90s looked like, that would definitely be one that could come to mind. But yes, like straight out, it's not like the two faces going, facing off, and it's not like the diagonal slice through the poster where it's like the good guy and the bad guy. It's typical fare, but it's not something that I look at and be like, I know so many other movies that have a poster just like this.
Mal Vincent from the Virginian Pilot says Colette is delightful, or as delightful as she could be as Muriel. It's a complicated character, Mariel, however she wants to call herself throughout the movie. She can be pretty selfish. She can be kind of self-involved and sometimes a little too naive.
Hmm.
I wouldn't say that she's lovable at any point, but Toni Collette is lovable, and I think that uh, that's an edge that the movie has now. I don't think that that's an edge the movie had back when it came out because nobody knew who Toni Collette was. So it must have been very
Yeah.
interesting to sit down to watch this, and you have that thing of like, I hate the character, but I really like the actress, and I don't know why. Toni Collette, because
Yeah.
it's Toni Collette. Where would you rank Muriel on Toni Collette performances / characters?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't as like gaga about this movie as some of the reviews, and even yourself. I think you liked it more than me, and some of our uh, listeners and followers all liked it a bit more than I did. So I don't know if this would be at the top of the list. I don't know if this would be up here with I don't remember her name in The Sixth Sense, but I still think that's like one of her best. And Little Miss Sunshine is obviously up there as well. Um, yeah, I don't know. She's really good. As discussed in the episode, it's quite remarkable. This is her second or third acting credit. This is her first starring role, and she's just like from the jump. It's like, yep, that's Toni Collette. She's fucking awesome. She's really good at what she does, but I don't think this would be up there with my favorite performances of hers. I probably
Well,
would
you named
like her more than
two.
enough said that I like her here.
Oh, well, I forgot that she was in that movie. But you've named two of the Contrarians appearances from Toni Collette. So, I mean, rank her with the
Mhm.
other two, Hereditary and Knives Out.
So I don't like Hereditary, but she's obviously very good in that movie. And I would put this above Knives Out because I don't remember, like, she has no moment in Knives Out where I was just like spellbound by what was going on.
She dances, Alex. She's spellbinding through the whole movie. You just.
Everyone does. Yeah.
All right. Finally, film 4 from.
Also, you are incorrect in that she's been on the Contrarians elsewhere. She was in About a Boy.
Oh my God, Alex. She might be the actress and actor, like overall, the performer with the most appearances. Well, I don't know. Maybe Ben Affleck still beats her, but that's still. How did I miss that? That's
She's
a
up there.
correction for the episode. Yeah, that's all right. About a Boy, Knives Out, Hereditary, Little Miss Sunshine, Muriel's Wedding. Am I missing one? Sixth Sense. That's 6 Toni Collette
There you go.
appearances, and we have one more to go this summer. So by the time the 2034 wraps up, 7 Toni Collette movies in the can when it comes to Contrarians. That's impressive. All right, let's close this quote section with a quote from film 4. That's it. There's nobody listed. It says, another kooky Australian movie this may be, but director Hogan and his cast sustain a strange melancholic undercurrent. Kooky Australian movie. That seems like a redundancy, in my opinion. If it's Australian, it's kooky. But I think that it really sums up the struggle, I think, for most people watching this movie, or most people like you and I watching this movie, and that's that the idea of this is pitched as a comedy. A lot of it is pitched as a comedy, but there's that melancholy throughout it, and there's a lot of like sad things
Mhm.
happening, and so the entire movie is this push and pull, whether like between you, like, do I laugh or do I just feel sad? Do I cringe? Do I fist bump? It's it can be exhausting if the movie doesn't have you. And if you want to know how much it had Alex, how much it had me, then you have to listen to the episode. But just know that if you struggle with Muriel's Wedding, you are seen by these two podcasters. Now, Alex, before we go to trivia, let's do the Josh Gad Minute. Is he doing an Australian accent?
I found this one to be pretty. Yes, I found this one to be pretty easy, as we get him doing the Australian accent. We get him courting Toni Collette and some dancing to the Bryce role, the young man who has a big crush on Toni Collette in Sydney. I think that was just kind of made for Josh Gad because he's kind of a bit clumsy and kind of by 94 standards be kind of a dork or something. So I think there's room for Gad to flex all the muscles that he has from an acting perspective in that role. Otherwise, I couldn't really pin down a character I think he would work well as.
He could be Chuck.
Jesus. Yeah.
I like your idea better. I like the idea that Josh Gad shows up and he's kind of sweet but clueless, clumsy, and he gets a couple of shots, like reaction shots during the wedding, the actual wedding. He's there. I was surprised to see this kid, Bryce, come back because I thought that we were done with him once they had that big scene. But no, he comes back. So I guess she invited him. It seems a little heartless to invite this kid that had a crush on you, invite him to your wedding. But as we said, Muriel is not very self-aware, or might just not care. But I like it. I like it. Josh Gad as Bryce. We're not giving him any options. Gad, that's the role you're playing. Now let's go to trivia.
All right, Certified Fresh, 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, with an 84% audience score. Muriel's Wedding premiered at the Toronto International Film Festival in September of 1994 and opened in Australia at the end of that month. A month after another Australian film and another Contrarians entry, The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. No Agent Smith, no Hugo Weaving in this one, but was out there making bank, much like Priscilla, because on a $9 million budget, this made almost $60 million. We discuss in the episode the Golden Globe nomination that Toni Collette received for it and who she was nominated. We discussed the comedy also of the ABBA soundtrack was until, the 11th hour wasn't decided if that was actually what they were going to do. And considering how much of the movie is centered on ABBA, you have to wonder what they would have done.
The Beatles.
Yeah. This note on the IMDb trivia section just tickles me deeply. It's just one sentence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words. One of Ridley Scott's favorite films. That's all it says. We cast Josh Gad, our boy, in the role of Bryce, but two other hunks of the day were considered for the role. That being Eric Bana and Guy Pearce, both considered for the role of Bryce.
Man, Guy Pearce already was too big after Priscilla. He was still having too big of a year. He couldn't handle Muriel's Wedding and Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. Eric Bana, I don't know what he was doing. Is this pre-Chopper, post-Chopper?
Oh yeah. Chopper's 99, 2000. So he had yet to arrive, as they say. He would have been young too. So that's that could have been a launching point for him, but things worked out. He got to be the Hulk, and he got to be in a Star Trek movie. So
and funny people. Don't forget.
Yeah. Toni Collette gained 40 pounds in 7 weeks with the help of a dietitian for this role. That's one of the dangerous things we discussed in the episode. Not dangerous, but contemporarily it was dangerous, and we've seen that. We obviously in spades and just great quantity of. She's not even like large in this movie, and there's a constant need to call out how fat she is, and it's a trend of the 90s that certainly it's not a bad thing that's gone. But 40 pounds in 7 weeks, that's like famously on our Patreon discussed Jared Leto's quest to become Mark David Chapman in Chapter 27. Julio, I know, did not expect that movie to come up here, so I'm glad I was able to shoehorn it into the discussion.
I was thinking of the opposite. I was thinking of the crash diets where they just shed a lot of pounds for a character, um, which I guess Jared Leto also did. But instead you had to go for the obscure. Oh, I guess it's my fault. I brought up the Beatles just a little bit ago, so that's on me. Uh, yeah, I think that there's the two sides of it, right? Like one is just that these days we've kind of like grown past the idea, or at least most people have grown past the idea of making fun of someone for their weight, or thinking that somebody being overweight or even underweight it's enough to craft a character that's like, oh well, that's her problem. It's like we watch it today. Probably we watched it in the '90s, and you're like, Toni Collette is gorgeous. Why isn't she more popular? But then the other thing is like,
Yeah,
the idea. I guess Christian Bale still does it, and there might be some wild actors that still just go for it, but uh, it's not healthy.
Joaquin.
Joaquin, yeah, but it's not healthy. It's like it may add to the performance, but it's at the cost of your health. And it can have like long term repercussions. So it's not
That
just
was
that. Oh well, I'll
Jared
give him
Leto. I
two.
think because of Chapter 27, like he has like still like long. If I'm thinking of the right one, I know there are stories of actors who did dedicate to like weight loss or weight gain in a really rapid fashion for a role that still like they did irreparable damage to their kidneys and shit like that. As you would expect. That's the whole thing. Like boxing, MMA, amateur wrestling. Those guys who cut weight, dropping 30 pounds in 2 days, like that's gonna fuck your body up in a way that you can't recover back from. So, fortunately for Toni Collette here, it sounds like she had some help and wasn't just like Christian Bale and the Machinist, just having an apple and a pack of cigarettes every day.
For the craft. It's art, Alex. Damon. I know Matt Damon for I think it's Courage Under Fire. It's the name of the movie with Denzel Washington, Meg Ryan, and he's one of the supporting characters. And towards the end of the movie, you're supposed to. It's a big reveal that he's a drug addict and he's like lost a lot of weight. And I mean, I've seen the movie. I remember him looking really skinny, and then you can still, if you know it, then you can still see it in Saving Private Ryan. Like he still looks a little gaunt, and it kind of like works with the character. But I remember reading interviews where he was saying that, yeah, when he got cast in Saving Private Ryan, he was still recovering. It took him a while to recover from just all the weight loss that he had for Courage Under Fire. And it's like, all right, well, lucky for you, you were able to just recover. But that's rough stuff, man. So I guess what we're saying is we're glad
Yeah,
Toni Collette uh, made it through, and now he just doesn't feel the need to swing back and forth between overweight, underweight, whatever you want to call it. Now she's just Toni Collette.
director PJ Hogan wanted to use the music of ABBA. At first, permission was denied. At that point, he was determined to fly to Europe and plead his case to the founders of the band. Then, if permission was granted, as long as the band received a percentage of the film's profits, the film turned out to be an international hit. And this says inspired the Broadway show, which became the movie Mamma Mia. So, I mean, we talk about in the episode, ABBA's music is just like, fuck yeah, let's get more of it. Let's keep going here. Closing out here with our auteur, PJ Hogan, and his motivation and inspiration for this movie. PJ Hogan based Muriel's personality on himself, but Muriel's actions were inspired by his sister, who embezzled $15,000 from their father and then disappeared to Sydney to live with a friend. How punk rock is that?
But the personality is his, so that means that his sister is not as I guess innocent, wide eyed as Muriel. His sister's probably just really cunning, and she knew exactly what she was doing. that's
Yeah.
that's interesting. I wonder what happened though. Was she just completely cut off after that? Did they send the cops after her, or
I don't know. That's the sometimes awesome nature of the IMDb trivia section is just how it feeds you just like a naked statement, and it's like, hey man, we're not going to tell you what happened. Just use your imagination.
You can go ask Ridley Scott why he loves Muriel's Wedding. We're not going to tell you. We're just going to say that it's his favorite movie.
Exactly.
All right. Well, that was Muriel's Wedding, the warm up. For the full episode, check your podcast feeds, your podcatchers. We have Contrarians Corner, we have Real Talk for it. And then coming up next, we go back to Peter Bogdanovich. It's time to look at one of his bombs, one of his not so well received movies. This is going to be Nickelodeon. And I know we have some returning faces in the cast, but I don't know what it's about. It would be amazing if it was about the birth of the kids' cable channel Nickelodeon, but I don't think that is it. So you'll just have to join us to find out, or you can watch the movie, watch Nickelodeon, and then listen to the episode. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video. Thank you for listening to the show, and we'll talk to you again soon.